Welcome to week 5 of our book study, Creative Counterpart by Linda Dillow. This week we were studying chapter 5, My Own Robert Redford. And if you have just discovered this video, you can see the previous chapters in the playlist on the side and get caught up to chapter 5 where we are currently. Now, Robert Redford was a little bit before my time, so all I know is he was an actor. I don't know anything else about him. But she says here on page 78, acceptance is taking him being your husband, just as he is, strengths and weaknesses. Now, I'm guessing Robert Redford was probably this hunk of a man who was just romantic and just did everything perfectly. But if you've been married for any period of time, you know that that is usually not the case. When you live with someone, you see their flaws, you see their faults, and those little things that you thought weren't annoying when you were dating suddenly really get under your skin and drive you crazy. Linda writes on page 79, she may feel like getting a husband is like buying an old house. She sees it not the way it is, but the way it's going to be after she gets it remodeled. I can tell you right there, not good, not good. A wife may be so wrapped up in the negative aspects of her husband that she ignores the positives. But reverence is a positive word. To reverence someone means to show admiration and respect for that person. Certainly, a wife will not accept her husband if she cannot reverence him. We must learn to accept him as he is. No strings attached. That's pretty hard. That's pretty hard. A wife can oftentimes try to be her husband's own personal Holy Spirit by nagging and belittling and suggesting and advising until we are exhausted from all the work we're trying to put into our husband. That is the human way of doing things. And Linda covers 5 areas where humans try to change or women try to change their husbands. The first one, why do we try to change him? Because his habits are irritating. Seems logical enough, right? It drives me crazy. I need him to change. Second reason, a self-righteous attitude. We think we are so good that our husband should change to be more like us. The third reason is for his benefit. It would help him with his job. He'd get farther in life. This would help him so much. He really needs to change. The fourth reason, what will people think if they know he's sleeping in church? And the fifth reason, for the sake of the children, just please change. And what are some of those areas that we want to see him change in? His personal habits. Maybe he doesn't throw his socks in the laundry basket. Maybe when he shaves, he leaves all the little fuzzy hairs all over the sink. Or maybe when he brushes his teeth, he doesn't wipe out the sink after he's finished. What about his attitude towards the children? He kind of just pushes them off to the side and, he has kids, he likes his kids, but he really doesn't want to spend time with his kids. How about how he's handling the finances? The fourth reason is your sex life. Maybe you just don't like how that's going. Fifth, his lack of spiritual leadership. And again, all these things seem like they're really good reasons to want him to change. His aspirations, he could get so much farther. I want him to get this position in the job. I want him to be the VP of the office. His household duties, he never puts the trash out, or he never does the recycling, or he doesn't mow the lawn. And lastly, he's never home. He's always more happy to be anywhere else but home. So there's all these things surrounding the reasons why you want him to change and what aspects you want to change of him. What are the results of this? Well, the first result is tension. Because you're nagging, because you're being like that mother to him, you're starting to feel this tension between you because this isn't how a husband and wife relationship is supposed to be. There's this destruction of love. Because of the tension, you really don't have those warm and fuzzy feelings towards him anymore. Then there's rebellion. he gets so upset at you, he's going to do the opposite of what you're nagging him, just because he's going to show you who he is. And then there's discouragement. On page 87, Linda writes, "It's a wife's job to make her husband whole. It's God's responsibility to make him holy. God gave a wife to a husband to love him, to build him up, to make him happy. God, the Holy Spirit, does not need a wife to be a personal, Holy Spirit. God has a special and a unique plan for each individual and each marriage. His timing may not be our timing, but be assured that he is working." So did any of those hit home for you? Maybe you're feeling like, yes, I do nag my husband because he's X, Y, and Z. What we need to do is realize that we need to forgive him and to accept him, no matter how hard that is. On page 88, now we'll read how God changes our husbands. First, we read about our human ways, how women try to change our husbands. Now we're going to read how God actually changes our husbands. And the first step is to learn to totally accept your husband. And in order for you to do that, you need to be forgiven yourself. You need to have that personal relationship with Christ. And if you understand how wicked your heart is and that you have been forgiven, then you will gladly and willingly give that forgiveness to your husband, because he is a sinner, just like you are a sinner. Yet Christ sent his son to die for all of our ugliness, to forgive us. He didn't need to do that. And so we need to extend that to our husbands. The second step is to remove the plank in your eye. And I love this chart here. She has the plank removal chart. What you're supposed to do is list one of your husband's faults and then list all of your wrong responses. Now, this is not something I want you, if you do it, please do not let your husband see all the things that you have wrong with him, because that's just going to tear him down and not build him up. But the purpose of this exercise is to show you how many wrong responses you are doing in response to his one problem. And when you really take the time to think about that, you'll realize how bad you have been. On page 94, she writes, "We must be realistic and not expect our husbands to be what only God can be to us, or to be something totally alien to their personalities or temperaments. Our expectations are a key barrier to accepting our husbands at face value. To get rid of your expectations, you must lay aside what you feel and what you deserve as your husband. God has a special plan for each and every one of us, and that may not be what you think it should be, but that is what it's going to be." On page 95, Linda writes about this one woman who protested about Christ's reward. "I tried this before for 2 weeks. I gave up all my rights, and my husband still did not change." The reward she wanted was a changed husband. The reward she should have been seeking was praise from God. She should do this not because of what she is going to get, but because she is being a faithful servant and being obedient to God. So we don't want to just do this because, well, God can change him now that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The reality is, God does not need to change your husband. In fact, God may leave him in your life to sanctify you, to change you before he changes your husband. Nowadays, we think of a lot of things as our right. It's our right to own our home. It's our right to drive a car. It's our right to have children. But the truth is, all those things come from God, and we need to give up those rights. And on page 96, Linda has another chart right at the top there, and it says, "Give your rights to God." On one side, you have the category of expectations. 1, personal habits. Now, your desired change, which are my rights. I want a neat husband who always hangs towels and clothes and puts away shoes. 2, children. I want a husband who takes deep interest in everything the children do, disciplines, instructs, and plays with the children. What you're doing is those categories of expectation, of those things that you want him to change, and then the things, the how you want him to change. Then you're going to take this list, crumple it up, throw it out. You need to give your rights up to God and let him do the work in your marriage. Step 4 is discerning your husband's positive qualities. Write down a list of all the good things about your husband. And you don't have to hide this one. If you want, you can share those with your husband and start the building up process. Step 5 is to ask your husband for forgiveness. If this is something that has been destroying your marriage for a long time, there may be some forgiveness that needs to be asked on both parties' part, but you can't demand that out of your husband. The only thing you can change about you is you. You can't demand forgiveness from your husband, but you can ask him to forgive you, and you need to worry about changing you, not him. Many of you will not feel the need for forgiveness. You can go right on to the positive. But for others, the dirt must be removed from the glass before you can fill that up with clean water. The last step is to verbalize your acceptance. But we're going to read about that in chapter 6. I hope this chapter has been helpful to you. It's been a little daunting to me just trying to put this all, to collect my thoughts and get this down into a way that I hope is understanding and helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to finish and complete this book study with us. I've been trying to post every Friday, and I also have a Facebook discussion group. Things have been a little bit crazy around the house with sickness, so I haven't been able to get these videos out every week. But please consider subscribing so you don't miss the rest of this chapter. It's an amazing book, and I will put the link for this book in the description below if you guys need to grab a copy of it so you can follow along. And we will see you, Lord willing, next week for chapter 6. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.